Hi, I'm Steve Wood from Manyhoo, and in this demo I'm going to show you a bit more of what we showed in the first demo with Zuora. In this demo I'm going to show a bit more of the detail about how the workflow executes against Zuora. So again, we have an account called Acme Inc., and there's currently no situation on the account, it's running fine. And we have a couple of light user subscriptions against that account. And in this demo, again, we're imagining that the account goes past due on some invoices. As a result, we want to suspend the account for non-pay. The workflow that does the actual suspend for non-pay is here. We load the subscriptions for the account. We get the first subscription. We apply an amendment to cancel it. Then we save that back to Zuora. We keep going around this loop, getting the subscriptions out until we have no more to cancel. We then apply a suspend to non-pay for the account object, and then we save that back to Zuora. So pretty straightforward workflow. But what this workflow does is actually executes as part of an outbound message. So it's something that happens as a call out from Zuora, and it's not something you actually interact with as a user. As a result, it takes a little bit more to kind of get a sense of how it's running and maybe debug it. So what I thought I would do is show you how we can step through this workflow to debug it step by step to make sure it's doing exactly what we expected. So I'm going to use Postman, which as before is going to simulate the call out from Zuora. So this is something that Zuora would typically call out itself as part of the event of the account going past due. So this is all stuff that just happens as part of Zuora, but in order to test this service and this flow, I'm going to use Postman. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to amend the end of the URL and put something called debug step through. And what this tells Manyhoo is that we don't actually want to execute end to end with the workflow. We actually want to stop it, and we want to walk through it and step through it and debug it, hence the name. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to send the call out as before. But this time, rather than executing the full workflow, Manyhoo is actually going to stop at the first step because it's now waiting for us to come and join the workflow, and then we can walk through it and just check that all the steps are executing correctly. And this is all just part of the Manyhoo platform. So I'm just going to grab the state ID, which is basically the instance of the workflow that we're running. And I'm going to add it into the URL that we use, and I'm going to join this workflow. So you can see the workflow is waiting at the load subscriptions for account. Let me just move the windows around so you can see what's happening. Okay, so currently we're sitting at the load subscriptions for account node, and you can see that it's saying that we have loaded an account, and actually the details of the account are here, so you can actually see all the details, and if you're a developer you'll understand that this is all the XML that's underlying. So we've loaded the subscriptions for the account, and I can just step through it by clicking on continue. And what you're looking at here is, in this debugger, is a couple of things. These are the values that are currently committed into the workflow, and these are the values up here that are currently in a pre-commit state, which is to say that we've got them, but we haven't actually decided if we're going to commit them in. These are the values that are basically being manipulated at this step. So we're currently sitting at the subscription list, and you can see it's grabbed the list and it's going to go down the done path. And you can see here it's decided that there are more subscriptions, so it's going to continue down the path to create an amendment. It's created the amendment object. It's sitting here waiting to be committed to Zuora. And now I'll click on continue, and that saved the subscription amendment back to Zuora, and we can keep cycling around the loop. So we can see it's now going through. It's got another subscription from the list. It's again stored here so we can look at it. We can also look at any previous data in the list just by viewing the values that are currently in our state and kind of continue executing around. So there, again, it's found more. This is our second subscription. Also, if I go back to Zuora and just quickly refresh our account page, you'll see that the first subscription has in fact been cancelled. So we'll keep going around the loop. Continue more. It's created the amendment. Again, saves the amendment back to Zuora, continues around the list. Let's grab the next subscription. It can see that there isn't actually another subscription in the list. it applies the suspend for non-pay. We're currently sitting here in the workflow, and then finally updates the account in Zuora, and if we hit continue, it's basically finished. So that's the workflow executing. And you can see you can run it both as a backend workflow that's simply unattended, in that it's just an automation that's happening off of the back of Zuora, or you can actually step through it just to check that all the logic is working. You can inspect the values of the state, make sure everything is working as you'd expect, and that the logic is going in the structure that you'd expect it to. And also it does give you the opportunity to go back to the account page in Zuora and just check that everything is in fact working. You can see here both of the account subscriptions have been cancelled now, and you can see also that the suspend for non-pay has been applied to the account.